We live in a world that is faced with huge social challenges. The world's population a couple of years ago hit 7 billion people. And of all these numbers of people, 2 billion of them fall within the age bracket of 10 and 24. Nigeria is the most popular black nation on the earth with a population of over 200 million people. And 60% of this are young people. This teeming population of young people are the lifeline of any nation and are the lifeline of Nigeria itself. Even as Nigeria grapples with finding her bearing and finding what we will call a true course of direction. And clearly, these are not the best of times for our country. With unemployment figures at its highest, a frail economy coupled with high-level corruption, kidnapping, banditry, insurgency, and other nation-destroying issues, Nigeria is going through some deep pains. However, we live at a time when technological advancement has reached a certain peak. And interestingly, technological advancement has birthed the most interconnected generation ever. To this group, data is life and oxygen. And the recent Big Brother show, with about 1 billion votes, clearly tells us that this generation literally lives on data. It is this group of young people that has the potential to disrupt inertia and be the most creative forces for social change. We have, however, for years wondered when these youth will wake up and take up the struggle to birth the Nigeria of their dreams, until the birth of the EndSARS movement. And that was part of my challenge also, that this group of young people had become so laid back, and we wondered when they would arise to take up their place in the scheme of things. We were suddenly awoken to a new reality, and that reality is that we cannot ignore the youth of our nation, and if we do, we ignore them to our own peril. The EndSARS social movement has become a catalyst for a youth movement like we've never witnessed before. EndSARS started on Twitter calling for the banning of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, a unit of the Nigeria Police Force, a controversial division known for police oppression and brutality. The protest started as a social media campaign using the hashtag EndSARS to demand for the Nigerian government to end the development or the deployment of SARS rather. Within a weekend, 9th to 11th of October, the EndSARS hashtag had up to 28 million tweets. SARS officers have been alleged to profile youth based on temperature readings and mount illegal roadblocks, stop and search, conduct unwarranted checks, arrest without warrant, rape women, extort young Nigerians for driving exotic vehicles and using iPhones. The momentum generated by this youth has been unequaled. The intelligence deployed in planning, executing, and evolving strategies as the protest proceeded is proof that these young men and women, if guided right, hold the key to Nigeria's future. It is worthy of note that many young people in time past have been at the forefront of major disruptions in the status quo of many nations across the world. Worthy of note is the American Civil Rights Movement, where civil rights activists, including many young protesters, participated in one of the 3 Alabama marches from Selma to Montgomery in 1965. The demonstrations were pivotal in the eventual passage of the Voting Rights Act, which prohibits discriminatory voting practices based on race. The recent Arab Spring. Until then, the assumption was that Twitter and Facebook embodied the stereotype of a disconnected, swaggerlicious, smartphone-toting young person. However, during 2010's Arab Spring, social media helped youth organize an unprecedented revolution that started in Tunisia and spread to Egypt, Libya, Yemen, Syria, Bahrain, and other Middle Eastern countries. This is what we are beginning to see in Nigeria, as Nigerian youth frustrated by police, corruption, economic woes, human rights violations, and a government they feel is insensitive to their challenges and has no plan for their future. They have galvanized across states using social media to form a massive protest. The protest we have seen in the last few days has given me great hope for the youth of our country. I went out to the streets to observe them. And I remember saying this as I watched them. I'm not sure I operate at this frequency anymore. Their mindset is different. Their outlook to life is different. They move at a pace that is difficult for some of us to comprehend. Even though I was concerned that what they were doing, if they're not careful, may end up looking like a carnival instead of pushing for reforms in different parts and in different sectors of our country. This is a tipping point in Nigeria's history. The birth pangs of a new nation are being heard everywhere. While many are doubtful of whether this would achieve anything meaningful, the Nigerian youth have finally made a statement that they can no longer be ignored. They have felt the power of unity and the possibilities of creating a disruption in society. It is obvious that the entire Nigerian system needs to be overhauled, and a call to restructure Nigeria needs to begin. I'm not one of those whose idea of restructuring reflects ethnic and segregational embers, or the fanning of ethnic and segregational embers like it's been fanned by many. What we need is a total reformation of our country. And while there's a lot of effort by young people, I believe that the older generation will also seize the moment and begin to push like they are pushing, because while we remain Nigerians, we cannot continue to embrace the Nigeria we currently see in the physical. In the meantime, I encourage our youth to demand for a cut in the cost of governance in this nation, to demand for an end to nepotism in leadership, to demand for an end to bad governance, to demand for an end to responsible or to irresponsible leadership, to demand for an end to corruption, which, whether you like it or not, is still deep-rooted in every facet of society, to demand an end to banditry and kidnapping, to demand an end to terrorism and an end to insecurity, and to demand for greater accountability and transparency in our nation. I want to enjoy all Nigerian youth to ensure that this movement is not wasted or allowed to wane, but that they would force our leaders to rethink leadership and work towards securing the future of our youth. I would, however, want to encourage every young person as a part of this movement or these protests to continue to organize and protest peacefully and not allow miscreants and hoodlums to infiltrate their ranks. I would also like to advise the government of Nigeria to tread cautiously with these young people. The Nigerian government, if well-meaning, can use this movement to push for significant reforms like they promised while they campaigned for votes in 2015 and 2019, starting with a reduction in the cost of governance and ensure a win-win situation. I was once sharing that with a few of our leaders here, and I said, if I was president, I would address the nation wearing a t-shirt like this, dressed like this, and speak to Nigerians and channel the pressure that they've put directly on the running of my own administration. And that's extremely easy. That you see, there can really be no serious reforms in this nation, especially as affects our economy, but that those who lead us must first show that they are willing to make sacrifices financially so that every other Nigerian citizen can benefit. It can be flying numerous presidential jets and having huge budgets for running governance and the villa while Nigerians take the brunt of the matter. You can increase and increase taxes. The people are the ones making the sacrifices. But we need leaders that would show that they are sacrificial in their living and they are willing to pay the price for a new nation to emerge. While you embark on your protests, know that you have the right to protest and ensure that you stay safe and keep safe. And I want to trust God, even as I lead us in a brief moment of prayer. You know, there's a song that Chris Delvan sang. He said, out of the ashes of my dying today, there is the breaking of a brand new day. That you see, God would use what is happening in Nigeria, and I know that he will use it, because everything happens for a purpose, but that he will use it to truly begin to bring to form and bring to birth a great nation. Now, if anyone wonders whether as a Christian it is right to protest, or whether I'm right in making this speech this morning or wearing the t-shirt that is so well branded to reflect the season of our young people, remember this, that the Reformation of Martin Luther in 1517, which birthed the Protestant movement, that eventually birthed the Pentecostal and charismatic movement, began with one man who nailed 95 theses to the door of a church in protest against the governance of that church in that territory. When he nailed that thesis, it was a protest event. We are the beneficiaries of Martin Luther's protest. And in case you don't know, he protested against the organized church. And while he was doing that, for every time he hit the hammer on the nail, there was an echo, not just beyond, not just affecting his time, but an echo that we are still responding today. Because if you listen in the spirit, you will still hear the nailing of those theses to the door. We are all beneficiaries of it. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. And who are the oppressed? Those who feel oppressed. Just that you feel oppressed qualifies you to be termed as one who is oppressed, and the people who make you feel oppressed are your oppressors. It is time for all Nigerians, old, young, male, female, child, toddler to do something that we have not done before. And what is that thing? Simple words. Sorosoke. And in case you don't know what it means what? Where are you? It means what? Pastor Sola knows what it means. What does it mean? Loud it. It's not speak out. You're being to turn to somebody and say, loud it. Pastor Sola, I wish you could sing loud it this morning. All right, come and sing. I'm just inspired. You know, this service will have all kinds of twists. Is a soundtrack there? Let's welcome P. Show. Someone say, loud it. Do you have his soundtrack? Is it ready?
Sorosoke.
Simple. We've got to hear this, and yeah, let him get ready. Say to someone, loud it. Say to someone else, Sorosoke. You know, some of you sound like you are too old. Some of you are too dignified. I think church is making you lose sight of your age. My son was going to dress up. You know, he showed me the suit he was going to wear this morning, like you. And I said to him, forget that thing. We've put you guys in straight jacket. It would have looked very formal. Dress anyhow, because I'm dressing anyhow today. And I intend to continue to dress anyhow too. Amen. Thank you. And that's the sound we need to hear.
Yeah.
All right. So are you ready for him? As to tell you, it's not pre-rehearsed.
Yes, it's not.
Need to Sorosoke.
Okay, while we wait for the soundtrack, we'll just chant the words, okay? Can we rise to our feet this morning? The song is very prophetic, very, very prophetic. You're ready? You're ready? Okay. Before you play it, increase the volume. Open the window. Make the neighbors hear you. Let the system hear you. Tell your story, your testimony. It's necessary. Celebrate your victory. What are my people them day? Where my papa's day? Where my mama's day? Where my people day? Where we not? Come on. Okay, we're ready. Ephraim, let's go. All right. Are you ready? Now there's a dance to it. You go like this. Louder. Let's go. Elédùmarè gbọpẹ́ mi o, gbọpẹ́ mi o. Ó fún mi láyọ̀ gbọpẹ́ mi o, gbọpẹ́ mi o. Elédùmarè gbọpẹ́ mi o, gbọpẹ́ mi o. Ó fún mi láyọ̀ gbọpẹ́ mi o. Something like this. Loud it. Increase the volume. Let's go. Open the window. Make the neighbors hear you. Let me see your hands. Loud. Tell your story. Your testimony. It's necessary. Celebrate your victory. What are my people them day? My brothers day. Where my sisters day? Where them day? Where my papas day? Where my mamas day? Where my people day? Where una day? Give me space. Give me space. Give me space. Make I dance. Hey. I do my own. You do your own. Make we dance. Tell your neighbor, give me space. Space. Social distancing. Make I dance. Hey. Now, Baba God, get this dance. Let's go. Hallelujah. Give thanks and praise to Jehovah. No matter the weather, now he might run to for cover. Chai. Hallelujah. I give thanks and praise to Jehovah. No matter the weather, now he might run to for cover. Let's go. Loud. Increase the volume. Loud. Open the window. Loud. Make the neighbors hear you. Loud. Let the streets them hear you. Loud. Tell your story. Loud. Testimony loud, it's necessary loud. Celebrate your victory loud. What are my people them day? Loud. where my people there. This happened to us. He's turned my morning into dancing. He's gonna turn it. Why no go praise the Lord? He's filled my mouth with testimony. Hey, why no go praise the Lord? He's turned my morning into dancing. Why no go praise the Lord? He's filled my mouth with testimonies. Why no go praise Lighthouse? Can you shout louder? Let's go. Increase the volume.
Open the window. Make the neighbors hear you. Let the streets them hear you. Tell your story. Your testimony. It's necessary.
Celebrate your victory. Where my people them there. My papa's there. Where my sisters there. Where them there. Where my papa's there. Where my mama's there. Where my people there. Where una there. Can we shout?